a small community located in Ijebu North, Ogun State, Nigeria.
We are all farmers here. Cocoa farm, plantain, cassava, yam, and so on and so forth.
Just like many generations before them, Abayomi and many of the farmers here work very hard to cultivate their farmlands. Their goal each year is to harvest enough crops to feed their families and sell off the rest to meet other needs.
I have been farming for over 20 years, and it is very necessary for me to farm because my livelihood depends on it. I have to farm to feed my family, send my children to school, and to obtain the necessities of life. I am married to 3 wives and have many children, as well as brothers and sisters that depend on me.
Sadly, irregular rainfall and flooding resulting from climate change have negatively affected Etiomi and many other communities in Nigeria.
We're supposed to be farming now, and the farming has stopped. And even if you farm, if there is no rainfall, the seed that you plant it will dry, or it will be carried away by birds. And even the one that have germinated, simply because there is no rainfall, it will dry up. So people are suffering in one way or the other, simply because of the change in weather.
We now suffer incessant flooding in the community. There used to be natural mechanisms to check this flood in the time past. But as at today, these floods go directly into our farmlands and have our crops destroyed. There has been some sort of incessant hurricane, that is heavy wind blowing off the roof of the inhabitants, to the extent that even currently, whenever it wants to rain, my people live in perpetual fear.
Some years ago, breeze carried my house. The reason my house was blown away, it is because there's no tree that can defend storm.
These floods destroy our entire crops and will damage our farmlands. Anytime we experience natural disasters, we will borrow to make ends meet. Sadly, this makes us to run into debts a lot of times.
Desperate to cope with their flooded land and boost their harvest through agricultural expansion, Abayomi, Reuben, and thousands of other farmers in rural Nigeria unknowingly expose their communities to climate change and create high levels of carbon footprints through deforestation and bush burning. Other key drivers of deforestation and forest degradation in Nigeria are heavy reliance on wood fuel, particularly firewood and charcoal, unsustainable timber extraction, urban expansion, grazing, mining, and underlying issues around governance, poverty, and technology.
Forest is life. The trees are the providers of oxygen. And that relates to the fact that if the last tree goes, the last man ceases to exist. So the importance of the forest is something that is huge.
Every living being needs oxygen for respiration. And without oxygen, we cannot survive. No human being can survive. No living thing can survive. And our forest is the one that gives us this oxygen. And that is why you hear some persons saying, when you cut the last tree, the last man standing will die.
There are a lot of negative impacts of deforestation on mankind generally. And these include global warming, climate change. You could also have diseases that could affect the heart, the lungs, and diseases like asthma. You could have a reduction in the air quality. You could also have reduced water quality.
Records show that Nigeria's rate of deforestation and forest degradation is one of the highest in the world, estimated at 3.7% or over 163,000 hectares every year. Between 1978 and 2016, Nigeria lost more than 2/3 of its forest cover due to land use changes, making her one of the countries with the highest deforestation rates in the world. Unfortunately, this is not abating.
Our forest cover presently is less than 7%, and it is expected as a country to have not less than 25% forest cover. This is worrisome. Our population is not reducing, meaning that there will be more pressure on the forest.
On a global scale, deforestation and forest degradation account for approximately 17% of carbon emissions, contributing to global warming and climate change. This has led to a variety of natural disasters such as floods, droughts, desertification, hurricanes, cyclones, and mudslides, resulting in violent conflict, loss of lives and livelihoods.
The environment cannot be complete without the forest. The forest is there, it's part of the ecosystem. And there must be, a concerted, deliberate and structured manner of protecting it.
Unless we begin to treat the trees with some respect, the forest with some respect, there will be more calamities, disasters that we find today. The flood, the fires, the droughts, the conflicts that you find, the insecurity as we find today that is at our doorstep, it's all tied to man's inability to manage the forest sustainably.
In order to constrain the impacts of climate change within limits that society will reasonably tolerate, nations of the world agreed to work together to limit global average temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius. But this cannot be achieved without reducing emissions from the forest sector, in addition to other mitigation actions. Therefore, parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, developed a policy and incentive framework for reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, REDD+.
REDD+ is all about reduction of emissions through forest. So the overall idea is to reduce deforestation and also ultimately to reduce emissions.
And REDD+ is a body that has been put together to help the developing countries to contribute their quota to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions globally.
Recognizing the significance of the forest and land sector as a source of the nation's greenhouse gas emissions and the need for international support to help develop and implement solutions, Nigeria started to engage the REDD+ program in 2009 and became a signatory to the United Nations Reducing Emission from Deforestation and Forest Degradation UN REDD in 2009. These efforts follow the results achieved in Cross River State following the implementation of relevant sustainable forest management initiatives in that state. The National REDD+ program is being implemented by the Forestry Department of the Federal Ministry of Environment.
The federal government is very committed to climate change issues. Mr. President signed and ratified the Paris Agreement in 2016, and REDD+ is a direct intervention that is supposed to help us achieve the commitment. There is provision in the budget and any other thing that the federal government can do to support REDD+ activities.
Vision of the REDD+ program is to make Nigeria be amongst the nation with the lowest deforestation rates and emission reduction, as well as improving livelihood of forest-dependent communities.
This vision is geared towards establishing a climate-resilient economy in Nigeria with a sustainable management of forests to enhance carbon stock and reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 20% by the year 2050. Nigeria seeks to achieve this goal through 1. Strengthening the functioning of forest and land management institutions and systems. 2. Improving relevant laws and regulations and strengthening law enforcement across the land management and fiscal governance sectors. And 3. improving the capacity of relevant ministries, departments and agencies of government to manage land, forest and ecosystem resources.
There are 3 stages that have been adopted for the issue of REDD+ activities in Nigeria. The first stage is the readiness stage, then there is the implementation stage, and then the investment stage. So we have started the readiness stage and cascading it down to the sub-national. And then the readiness stage, there are a lot of activities that have been done nationally, like the National Forest Monitoring System, the FREL.
FREL is Forest Reference Emission Level. Now, in Forest Reference Emission Level, that is showing you that for this year, this is the level of emission in a particular state, in a particular country. So you use that as a benchmark to be able to assess yourself in subsequent years if you have been able to reduce emission.
The other phase is for us to confirm and put in place our implementations to the extent that the credit from such investment should begin to come to either the forest communities and the nation. And the last phase is for us to run seamlessly, that it can speak to the NDCs, can speak to other global emissions, and when we are making our pledges, we know that we have where to draw from to give as a country in terms of our contribution to climate change.
Seeing the immense threat that climate change poses to Nigeria's highly natural capital-dependent economy, REDD+ is confident that the forest sector holds real potential for a much greater contribution to the country's economy, its nationally determined contribution (NDC), as well as its green growth and sustainable development agenda. And so, starting with Cross River State, Nigeria, REDD+ program began implementing a nationwide pathway on reforming and improving the country's forest management practices, placing a focus on promoting the efficient use of forest resources and more deliberately supporting sustainable development and mitigating climate change.
In the readiness phase, we have been able to put the 4 Warsaw element in place already. And then in the implementation phase, we have an investment plan so that whoever that wants to invest in our state will use that investment plan. We have been, carrying out restoration. We have also carried out woodlot establishment to reduce pressure in the forest, where communities will use the foil wood that they have planted already. You understand, they will use that. And then we have been able to give them this sustainable energy stove, where they will use just minimal foil wood to be able to cook their food.
The efficiency of the wood fire has gone up. We are using a very small amount of firewood. So what does that mean? Efficiency, energy efficiency, climate change. So the process itself here is helping climate change. But of course, the conservation of forest. So this helps climate change, it helps the community, it helps women empowerment.
To expand the lessons from Cross River State to other interested states in the Federation and to broaden the international partnership and support for REDD+ in Nigeria, the federal government submitted a request for membership to the Forest Carbon Partnership Facility, FCPF, of the World Bank in 2009. Over time and with funds from FCPF, Nigeria has begun implementing its national REDD+ strategy, starting with implementation of the REDD+ readiness process in 6 states, including Nasarawa, Ondo, Edo, Ogun, Plateau, and Kaduna states.
Nasarawa State and Ondo State happens to be one of those pioneer states after the Cross River, which is a pilot state for the crop program. We have 3 sites that was earmarked for this program. One is in Obi, that's the Atabla Forest Reserve. We have the Marhai Forest Reserve, which is in Wamba, and Zono Forest Reserve, also in Toto local government.
We at the state, particularly in Ogun State, we already have our pilot communities where we carry out sensitization, enlightenment, and to teach them about climate change and about climate-smart agriculture.
We have had a robust stakeholder engagement with the forest-dependent communities. All the two pilot sites, we have done engagement with them. We've met the traditional heads, we've met the women groups, we have met the youth groups, and even the vulnerable groups. We have done that. And some of these forest-dependent communities have also been trained in our various workshops that have been prepared by the National Secretariat. And we have also created a lot of awareness.
Presently, there is livelihood option that has been introduced in these pilot communities for us to take them off, depending on forests for their sustenance. We have, gari processing equipment with them in order to empower the communities, because they need something that will improve their source of livelihood, particularly women and children.
One of the drivers of deforestation is actually poverty. One of the ways to be able to curtail deforestation is to empower the people. So, and REDD Plus is doing that in our community through the tomato drying facility that has been installed within the community. And by doing that, it's actually empowering the farmers. And how does it empower the farmers? It gives them the opportunity to reduce waste from their harvest. So, and by doing that, you are actually pushing them out of poverty.
To start with, the promise giving us a cassava meal, and as I speak to you, that project is already actualized. It is functioning, and we thank REDD Plus for it. Aside the meal and every other good promises they made to us, they've also gone a step further, enlightening our people on the best way to preserve our forests. The issue of deforestation by these farmers and illegal loggers, they have come to condemn in totality, and see how we can also embrace the act of reforestation. And to be very frank with you, all of these exercises, all of these advices, we put to practice, and today it is yielding fruits.
Really, the program REDD Plus have really helped the community, that is Messenger community, because the trees that is being planted, this harbors animals from all over. And then the animals that we have not been seeing them before, they are around now. And then the ratio that have been taking place is not taking place again.
I'm very happy with the REDD Plus because of the awareness. I get to understand that planting of trees, it happened not only me alone, it happened the whole community and the whole world at large, because it helped in giving us a very good ventilation, and it helped in this ozone layer, and also help other places that they cannot plant tree.
For what we taught from the REDD Plus organization, there's more something that we are going to benefit in future. But what you have taught us. And already we have been trying to make use of what they taught us.
REDD Plus has changed how we were seeing trees before and now. We now see that trees serve as a protection to us, and we derive much importance from trees. It is also the source of our breathing. This has shown that if we try to be planting trees, we will be in good health and we will be living fine in our community.
My appreciation goes especially to the REDD Plus organization. And the truth is, I will go back and gather my women, and I will still beg them not to go back and be cutting down trees. Because we have witnessed the greatest and tremendous achievement through REDD Plus, and we will continue to adhere to the rules and guidance which they have told us not to go to the bush and cut down trees.
I promise that, by the grace of God Almighty, we will not stop planting trees, and we will make sure that people in the community will not waste the trees that are available in the forest entirely.
I am very grateful to REDD Plus for all the things they taught us because they have greatly impacted our lives. Right now, we have more money to take care of our families. I have money to send my children to school, and I'm very happy that REDD Plus came to our community and imparted this knowledge on me.
It can't just end like that, but I will just continue to be saying big thanks to them because they let us learn the importance of all these things. So in fact, big thanks to them.
Of course, their intervention is timely, and it has gone a long way to reduce some of the negative effects of these practices where people, the negative practices on the environment. And of course, it has given us hope to know that there's a lot that will be done in taking care of the environment. And for us, we feel very happy and privileged to be part of those people that are engaged in, with REDD Plus in trying to find solutions, environmental solutions that are doable and are achievable.
We have the joy in the fact that the forest-dependent community, the state at large, even the state governments, then our populace, they are beginning to get better awareness about forest protection, and that is giving us a great joy.
We feel very excited because if we came from 1 and we are 7, and as we speak, we have about 19 state governments on our neck who wrote to be part of REDD Plus program. That is to show that what we have initiated in the states is beginning to speak and resonate with many more states. And our achievement is reflective on the fact that if most states are wanting to come to do REDD, it means that there's an opportunity for Nigeria to expand REDD to the 36 states. And if the 36 states begin to do REDD, our forest cover will naturally improve. And the 25% that FAO expect countries to do is attainable.
Since 2009, when the REDD Plus program began implementation in Nigeria, giant strides have been made towards achieving sustainable low-carbon practices in the country. REDD Plus is confident that its vision and objectives can be achieved quickly and effectively when multiple benefits are structured to meet the needs of different stakeholders, thereby addressing drivers of deforestation and forest degradation at multiple levels.
I will ask all relevant stakeholders, let us join hands together and sustain our resources. It's God-given resources, it's for everyone. You understand? We should join hands together and practice sustainability.
So it's African Canary activity.
This is not an activity or something that just a certain person or the government can succeed in doing. It has to involve the government, professionals, academia at various levels, because we have tertiary, we have secondary, we have even at the children level, we have the women, the youth, we have those in the marketplaces, we have various types of people that need to be involved in seeing to it that we take care of our environment by stopping deforestation activities, so that and also activities that would reduce the emissions that will produce greenhouse gases that will have a negative effect on us.
We need partnership for all of these relevant stakeholders, to even the legislators. We need their input, because when we go into implementation phase and investors are coming, they need enabling laws. They want to see what can sustain their investment. So all of us together, we have to partner to ensure that Nigeria become net carbon sink by 2050.
So environmental management is the responsibility of every single individual. We are collaborating with the private sector, we are collaborating with international agencies and organizations to help REDD Plus with resources, that's financial resources, equipment, capacity building, and the government is right there coordinating this.
As it looks into the future, the Nigeria REDD Plus program is committed to reducing deforestation and forest degradation, as well as conserving indigenous forest, implementing sustainable forest management practices, and enhancing forest carbon stocks. REDD Plus says it will not stop until the devastating effects of climate change are tackled, thereby ending its global menace and environmental catastrophe.
Our global vision is that we want to be part of the ambition of the world to bring down temperature increase from not to go below 1.5 degrees. Very ambitious, and so we want to be part of that contribution in maintaining the temperature at 1.5 degrees. Nationally, we want to see that our forest cover improves from the worrisome less than 7% forest cover to something appreciable, heading towards the 25% cover expected by countries by FAO. And REDD is the platform, the vehicle for which the country can deliver this, particularly so of its financial benefits. We are requesting that stakeholders must embrace this drive that the REDD Plus is spearheading, reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. That is our call for all stakeholders.